What I want you to do right now is imagine a world where the vibrant colors of coral reefs fade to white and the gentle grace of sea turtles becomes a distant memory. Today, as we confront the reality of climate change, our oceans are at a tipping point. In the next 10 minutes, I will take you on a journey through the critical role marine conservation plays in safeguarding these eloquent creatures and their fragile habitats, given the unfortunate circumstances. This is one of the reasons why we, as Caribbean youth, continue to scream for climate justice. So Barbados, a small island, not too big, covering 166 square miles, greets you with a coastline of approximately 70 miles. Its diverse topography and biodiversity has made it one of the world's most desirable islands to live on, catering to 287,000 Bajans, as we call ourselves, and as well as visitors. To not acknowledge our colonial past would be remiss of me today. Barbados, a thriving British colony making profit from mass sugar production off the backs of our ancestors until they could not reap no more. This led to my 1966 independent country in a state of harsh recovery with no reparations for the atrocities and the exploitation endured for centuries, but with an idea of a tourism industry to generate economic development. An industry that depends primarily on the sun, the sea, and the sand. Okay, so the problem of sea level rise, sea surface temperatures, intrusion of salt waters into the aquifers, coastal erosion, storm surges, and coral bleaching, etc., as Senator Thompson said yesterday, is not a conversation we enjoy having, but a harsh reality brought on by the negative impacts of climate change. Barbados is relatively flat and is situated in a tropical zone with an ocean that is warming and humidity levels reaching 35 degrees, sorry. This raises concern for our coastal communities and amphibious marine life. And I'll give you a sad fact. Generally, hot sand temperatures produce female turtle hatchlings, and 1 in 10,000 eggs make it to maturity, and maturity is 25 to 30 years. So we look at the extreme weather patterns right now, and we have hurricanes which wreak havoc and cause significant damage to all resources that these SIDS have, which are already limited as it is, once again taken from the stories of Senator Thompson and Atherley on Wednesday and yesterday. In the context of the coastline and waters, flooding and storm surges result in the ocean being filled with sediment and pollutants. So the bottom left, that is sediment going into the ocean, and that is as a result of sudden downpour in a short period of time. And next to that, to the right, that is the result of a storm surge caused by Category 4 Hurricane Beryl that the Prime Minister just spoke about, which didn't directly pass over us, so imagine. And then imagine Katia, Irma, and Jose. This is Irma here, a Category 5 that had passed over other SIDS and the devastation that it had caused. This is an injustice. So we'll go now to the work that Corral has been doing. And Corral is an NGO and a charity which engage in community capacity building and restoration initiatives. I'm the vice president for that organization. And we monitor the west and the south coast of Barbados, and these videos will give you a little insight on what the reality really is for us in Barbados. Imagine this, a home to juvenile and reef fish. Then the host turns on its own ecosystem, leading to its complete destruction, all because we continue to provoke the planet with the usage of fossil fuels, putting everyone and everything at risk, even the capitalists themselves. This is an injustice. As of Sunday, before I came to Canada, I ventured onto a reef filled with deep-sea communities, and as seen in the video, even beyond shallow waters, coral is bleaching at rapid rates. If not bleaching, being affected by white man disease, eventually leading to the death of these Acropora palmata, which is to the far left, also known as elkhorn coral. This as well is an injustice. So we'll talk about some projects that Corral would have done, and these are some nurseries. On the left, we have Acropora cervicornis, which is known as staghorn coral, and to the right, we have Acropora palmata, which we just saw with the white band disease. And these are fragments that we would have created in 2016 when the organization was established. And to the far right, we can see the bleached staghorn coral, and below we have bleached and filled with brown algae. This is due to the bleaching events last year in October and September. So yeah, it's actually crazy for the coral reefs in Barbados. So we'll move on to sea turtles. And all these photos are mine through the Barbados Sea Turtle Project. And I'll be quick because I think my time is soon over. Um, to the left, we see a handful of dried hawksbill hatchlings due to the factors such as temperatures of the sand and an encroaching high water mark. This is an injustice. In the middle, we have a female turtle who is mature. She's way past 25 to 30 years based on the smoothness of her initially serrated carapace, which is the exposed shell. And to the side, you can tell based on how the male turtle would rub down on her carapace. So you can see it's smooth. So she has been in Barbados maybe longer than I have been a Bajan. So she is an honorary Bajan. Unfortunately, when we were called, well, fortunately, I should say, we were called just before. I'm not sure if it's like this in all Caribbean islands, but in Barbados, when the 12 o'clock, which is the midnight bus, is running, you gotta move out the road because the bus man wants to get home as well. So it's a good thing we got there and got her out of the road, or she would have been flattened and her insides would have been out in the road. But this is something that has happened before. And this is all due to the disappearance of a beach that was once there. Now nothing. Just waves crashing against and rushing over the public main road. This is an injustice. To the right, we have another female who had to go further inland, meeting exposed roots and harsher conditions as she got further. This sometimes leads to turtles leaving their eggs on the sand due to exhaustion and several failed attempts at nesting. Hatchlings even get stuck between the roots, leading to their death if human intervention does not happen. This too is an injustice. So I have 3 minutes, so I'll conclude now. And this is why climate justice is so important. I invite you to read those as I say what I have to say. I stand before you as a proud Caribbean citizen, deeply connected to the vibrant colors and breathtaking landscapes of all our islands. But today, I speak not for myself, not just for myself, but for the countless voices of the generation who are feeling the weight of climate change on our shoulders. Our homes are not just beautiful, they're vulnerable. Rising sea levels threaten our beaches, hurricanes are becoming more intense, and our coral reefs, which are lifelines for our marine life and our livelihoods, are dying. We can no longer sit idly by while our future is jeopardized. Climate justice is not just an environmental issue. It is a human rights issue. It is about equity, about recognizing that those who have not contributed to the crisis or contributed the least to the crisis are the ones bearing the brunt of its consequences. We need action now. Action that addresses the inequalities in the systems, that provides support to those most affected, and that empowers our communities to adapt and thrive. The time for half measures has passed, and I'll say that again. The time for half measures has passed. We need global leaders to prioritize climate justice in their agendas. We need investments in renewable energy, sustainable practices, and resilient infrastructure. We need our voices to be heard in the rooms where decisions are made. So I'll wrap up by saying that let's stand for climate justice, not tomorrow, but today. We are not the future. We are now. Thank you very much.